Hi everyone. So I'm going to talk about homelessness today and a project that I was involved in back in Hong Kong called H.O.P.E Hong Kong. Before I start, just wanted to clarify that Penang, Malaysia is my new home, and I want to really thank the people, the team in Hong Kong, my co-workers, my students, whoops, it's really sensitive, my students and the volunteers who participated in H.O.P.E last year. Without them, it wouldn't have been able to happen, and I know that they are also out there fighting for their future in democracy right now in Hong Kong. So I just want to dedicate this talk to them. So before we start, can somebody tell me the population in Malaysia? Just shout it out. Okay, it's actually close to 30 million. So close to 30 million, and let's think about it. The total population of homeless people in the world. Guess. Take a wild guess. It's pretty wild. 6 billion. Huh? Sorry, 6 billion? No. It's actually 3 Malaysias put together. So more than 3 Malaysias put together. It's 100 million. There are 100 million people who are homeless in this world. And let's take it back to the home front, a little closer. The MWFCD actually revealed an estimation of homeless people in 2010. Malaysia's number is 1,646 people, and the concentration actually is in Kuala Lumpur with close to 1,400, and in Penang, Georgetown, there are 150. Okay, the number seems pretty small, right? But we have to bear in mind that whenever there is a national population and housing census done, the homeless people are actually included in the census. However, the statistics is never made publicly available. Moreover, our government agencies here actually define the homeless as beggars and vagrants, drifters and troublemakers. So with this attitude toward the homeless, are we surprised that in July in KL, there was actually a ban on the soup kitchens in the city center giving out food and helping the homeless? The federal territories ministers actually announced that the government was going to prohibit all the soup kitchens and the community workers to give out food to the homeless. Of course, protests from the community won in the end, and the ban was actually retracted in the end. Now, the United Nations actually deem safe, affordable, and stable housing as a basic human right. So when we really think about it, safe, affordable, and stable housing, it only really just it is only talking about a physical shelter when we really think about housing. And to really bring homelessness home, to really understand homelessness, I want to ask every one of you to really think about in your seat, what does home mean to you? A home is not just a physical shelter. A home is a place to rest, to nurture relationships. A home is a place where there is economic value. A home is a place where you can actually be a part of the society, have an identity, be a part of the larger society out there, and also to keep your personal belongings. The list goes on and on and on. So when we really think about what home means to us personally, it starts to shed light on what homelessness means and the price that we're paying to tolerate homelessness, regardless of the numbers. Now, creating a project with the homeless is actually also a personal journey of mine, as well as a professional. When I left New York, a place that is home in my heart, I was actually having a very hard time adjusting in Hong Kong, my home at birth. So I was actually finding ways to connect the two. And my work, my identity and my home in New York has a lot of ties with the work with the homeless. So what I did was I created a project to work with the homeless. And before I started implementing it, I was thinking about what was the situation that I was working with. So in Hong Kong, in a city with the annual GDP of over 2,000 billion, there's no policy to address the homeless, and there's no law to protect them. The homeless are actually being evicted from sleeping under flyovers, bridges. In this one news article, about 20 to 30 homeless people were being evicted from under the flyover because the government wanted to build pet park and plant flower pots under the bridge to beautify the area. Other containment tactics include confiscating their personal belongings and throwing them into garbage truck, installing immovable hand grips on the park benches so that they can't sleep on the park benches, using corrosive substance to clean the streets so there's no way for the homeless to go back to sleep on the streets or to put their mats or sheets on them. Homelessness became very visible after the Asian financial crisis of '97 and the SARS epidemic in 2003, which gives hint to us that there is something to tie in with the economic instability that was brought about by these two events. Poverty is definitely related to homelessness. Did you know that 1 in 5 people in Hong Kong live in poverty? This is Hong Kong we're talking about. 1 in 5, 1.3 million. A lot of understanding on homelessness still focuses on individual factors: mental illness, gambling, substance abuse, alcohol abuse. But a lot of times people overlook the structural factors such as lack of affordable housing, unemployment, and economic changes. So, however, when structural factors are really an important part of causing homelessness, much of the help is still surrounding giving out food and giving out personal items to the homeless. So now, a lack of food and homelessness and a lack of affordable housing. Do you think that a lack of food is really causing homelessness? So in order to push for structural changes, policy changes, we need accurate information. The government has not done a homeless street count since 1999. The street sleepers registration system is flawed because it's a 4-page form that needs a valid ID in order for it to be recorded. And the definition of homelessness actually doesn't exist in Hong Kong. They're called street sleepers. So people who are sleeping at shelters, people who are at temporary hostels are not counted. There you go. So H.O.P.E actually means Homeless Outreach Population Estimation. This was actually the study that we put together with 3 community organizations, which was a citywide street count and a citywide survey that we did. The H.O.P.E street count actually had a trifocal goal. Number 1, it is to obtain accurate information so that we can advocate for policy changes and the changes in resource distribution to the homeless. Number 2 is to educate and to engage university students for them to really understand deeper what homelessness means. And number 3, it's to raise public awareness to help destigmatize the homeless. So what was the process? We had to really think about what we could really do. On the one hand, we had full access to university students, the whole university of students that we had access to. On the other hand, we had connections to community organizations, and we knew that we were working with the Generation Y. So what was important? We realized that in the beginning, a lot of the students and volunteers were asking, even staff were asking, is it going to be dangerous? Are these all people who are really lazy? Are these all people who are on drugs? So we had to organize a series of workshops and trainings to really educate people what homelessness is about. Knowing that we're working with university students and Generation Y people, we tapped into social media. We set up a Facebook page to constantly update on news and information on homelessness about Hong Kong and everywhere else. And we also created a website. We tapped into the press to really boost the popularity of this action, of this social action. In the period of 6 months, we organized numerous community visits. These are all the students going out to the community to visit the homeless in different districts, different areas. This was a shelter. So I just said that food and things, they don't really, they're not really the core cause of homelessness. Why did we still do that? We actually did 6 months of community visits. So the reason was because through that, we could actually have the students engage the homeless. We could actually understand the issues by the students going out there really to, get to know the homeless more and more, and to facilitate the upcoming street count. So the more they see the students, the more the students can talk to them about, what, in August we're going to have a citywide street count. Please embrace that. So methodology of the street count. That was the day, August 21st, 2013. 300 volunteers from the university showed up without fail. We covered 180 locations all over Hong Kong in 48 teams. The street count started from 7 p.m., ended at 5 a.m. We also set up a headquarters at the university for volunteers to call all of the emergency shelters and temporary hostels the night of the street count to get the numbers of the people who are staying at these places. And we did a supplementary count of 70 24-hour chain restaurants. Can't really mention the name, but as we know that as social workers are telling us that the younger generation are actually not staying on the streets, but they're actually staying indoor at 24-hour restaurants, internet bars, so on and so forth. So a report was actually compiled 6 months later. These were the numbers. The total number was close to 1,400. To dispel the stereotype, we thought that they're lazy. We thought that they don't have jobs. We thought that they don't want to work. Over 40% of them actually worked, and close to half of them are not receiving welfare. The reason why they don't want to receive welfare is because they want to be self-reliant. And a lot of them actually work. It is an aging homeless population, which means that the working ability and health is on the decline. Also, to our surprise, over half of them actually have a high school education or higher. 70% of them reported that the lack of affordable housing is the major reason that contributed to their homelessness. A typical homeless person is like Uncle Wah, 63-year-old, living on the streets. After his rent for his cubicle apartment, these little tiny cage homes, rose 100%. He works and makes $6,000 a month, and which most of it is being sent to the mainland to his relatives. What are the needs? Health, mental health, definitely. A huge amount of people are experiencing mental health and health problems. However, only about 8% of them are receiving mental health treatment, as opposed compared to a 40% people who are reporting that they experience mental health issues. So what did we do after that? We actually organized a press conference to really get the issue and the information and the findings out there so that the public will first know about this. Actually, a lot of press came. And after that, the government started to become a little more sensitive because the press all knows about it and then the public all knows about it. So a few months after the press conference happened, we actually, could you go back one? Okay, we actually, a bunch of us who were involved in the Hope Street count, we actually met with the Legislative Council of the Hong Kong government to submit the report that we did on the findings and the recommendations. And that's the beginning of the Hong Kong government really paying attention to homelessness and really start to think about policy changes around housing, around work training, stuff like that, and mental health. So this was a little sharing of my journey where I started in New York, working with the homeless population, brought that issue to Hong Kong, and finally in Malaysia, just wanted to share that this past week, a group of community organizers working with the homeless actually met with the city council to start the dialogue on really helping the homeless in the community. And the whole Hong Kong report was actually sent to the city council as a reference of policy changes, what the community can do, and how community can participate in addressing this issue. I'm gonna just fast forward to how, if you want to help in Penang locally, there's an organization called Food Bank for You, and there's an organization most of you would know, Kuchara Soup Kitchen, where they are actually out there in the community helping the homeless. And before I really end, I have a very short video that I really want to show because it is really these people, my staff, my team, and the students who really inspired me to really go forward, to make me believe that this citywide homeless street count was possible. So if you could please play the video. Thank you very much.
Before joining H.O.P.E Hong Kong, I was not familiar with homelessness issue in Hong Kong. Participating in H.O.P.E Hong Kong provided me a chance to get in touch with homelessness and to have a deep understanding of homelessness issue in Hong Kong. For example, I understand how the Hong Kong government's registration system hinders the homelessness to seek help. H.O.P.E Hong Kong also broke the stereotype of homelessness described by social media.
Hi everyone, this is Spot from Hong Kong, and I was one of the participants of the H.O.P.E Hong Kong 2013 last year. And before I joined the service, I've seen lots of homeless people sleeping on the street, but I've never talked to any one of them, or even had no idea why they were doing so. Many people in the society thought that the homeless are suffering from their own actions, such as drug abuse and alcoholism. And to be honest, sometimes I thought in the same way. But through the services, I realized that there are many different causes of homelessness, and I got the opportunity to talk with them and listen to their own stories. They are just a group of people that were being ignored by the others or even by the government. The situation that they are facing today are not only caused by themselves, but the government policies, the economic system, and so on.
Hello, I'm Esther from Hong Kong. When I was a volunteer in CYEP, I helped to organize a visit to a shelter for homeless people. After that, I felt that there was not that much I can do to help as a volunteer. Through H.O.P.E, we could do a little bit more by collecting data for advocacy work. I can still remember that a homeless person chose to stay on the street even he has his own apartment. Physical environment is important, but not the most. The most important thing is about belonging. A person becomes homeless not because he has no place to stay, but he belongs to nowhere. I think this will be a direction that we can contribute in the future. Thank you.